Elden Ring. A video game by the truest definition, especially by today's standards, with what can pass as a video game these days. It doesn't matter if you have a problem with the game, or simply don't like the style of gameplay, you cannot deny the content here. And don't get me wrong, I have a few problems with it myself, but it's also the best game that's been released in years, and has already become one of my all-time favorite games. But we'll get to all of that soon enough. I've got a lot to dive into, so let me break down what this video is going to be, as it's a bit different than my usual. I'm going to give a bare bones overview of the game for those who want to learn the basics and things to look out for. However, I am also going to do an abridged version of a playthrough of the game, where I will focus especially on highlighting the bosses and how I defeated them in my playthrough. Keep in mind, there are many ways to play this game, but my first playthrough of Souls games are pretty simple to understand. I don't use magic, I don't use a shield, I don't use summons. Cheesing with spellcasting? Parry easily readable attacks? Hell no, baby. I get a big ass sword and unga bunga my way through the game. Do I die constantly while I learn the fights? Hell yeah, baby. Did I kill the last boss without wearing any armor? Damn straight. But to be perfectly honest, no matter how you play the game, there are going to be fights that make you eat the poo-poo until you learn. Also as a note, I go into these games completely blind for my first playthrough. I didn't watch any gameplay and I didn't look anything up. Rather, a very few things, but I'll explain them when I get to them. If you needed any other reason to hate me, this is my personal tier list of Souls-like games. If you've somehow never played a game created by FromSoft, there is something you need to learn. You are going to die a lot. Like, a lot. Since I'm not new to the franchise, I actually died a lot less than I expected. But even saying that, understand, I died somewhere between 300 to 400 times total in my playthrough, and about 150 of those were due to the last boss. After I beat the game, I saw people saying other side bosses of the game were harder. And once I defeated them, I still stand by the fact that, at least for me, nothing was harder than the last boss. But again, we'll get to all that later. So, where to start? Well, let's get into the basic overview where there won't really be any hard spoilers for the game. But, warning! When I get into my coverage of killing bosses, I'm going to be showing core story moments and breaking down my fights with most of the harder bosses. So, in that section, there will be massive spoilers, and potentially minor ones ahead. To start, you have to decide for yourself how you're going to fight in this game. There are a plethora of weapons and spells at your disposal. When it comes to weapons, you have your choice between axes, ballista, bows, claws, colossal swords, colossal weapons, crossbows, curved greatswords, curved swords, daggers, fists, flails, glintstone staves, great axes, great bows, great hammers, great spears, great swords, halberds, hammers, heavy thrusting swords, katanas, light bows, reapers, sacred seals, spears, straight swords, thrusting swords, torches, twin blades, and whips. Every weapon has a fairly unique special action weapons skill. What does that mean? Well, let me show you. You're going to see me use this weapon for most of the game, as I fell in love with it when I first found it, the Bloodhound's Fang. I usually go for either a greatsword or colossal greatsword, but this curved greatsword was just too much fun. Good damage, decent stagger on lesser enemies, a fun moveset, and this weapon's skill here, the Bloodhound's Finesse. Upon activating, you do a backwards flip, hitting them with an uppercut as you go, making some distance between you and the enemy. Within a short window, you can then use another attack to close that gap with a short little shadow step. Now, on top of that, the weapon also has a passive of Bleed, building up hemorrhage on a target. The Bleed debuff builds up with each hit, and once it reaches a certain threshold, how fast depends on the enemy type and their resistance to the effect, deals massive burst damage equal to a percentage of your target's maximum hit points. Let's quickly go over damage types. For other passives like Bleed, there is Frost, which builds up Frostbite. Once the threshold is reached, it deals an amount of burst damage, as well as debuffing the target, with 20% less damage absorption and stamina recovery. You can also come across the passives Poison and Scarlet Rot, both of which deal damage over time once the threshold is reached to apply this debuff. Other weapon damage types you run into other than the basic strike, slash, or piercing will be elemental damage in the form of magic, fire, lightning, and holy, their effectiveness depending entirely upon what you are currently attacking and their resistance to such damage types. For example, fire is usually especially effective against unarmed fleshy targets, and often even makes them take time reacting to being engulfed in flames, allowing you a moment to follow through with more attacks. Since I'm using the Bloodhound's Fang, and I'm not using a shield, it's best for me to two-hand the weapon to increase my damage output. This is done by holding the Y or triangle and pressing R1. However, I later came across a second curved greatsword with a passive Bleed, so I decided to power stance them together. What is power stancing? Well, it's a simplified variation of what we saw in Dark Souls 2, where if you have two of the same weapon type, in my case 2 curved greatswords, equipped in both hands, you unlock a special attack with your L1 button that hits with both weapons. And for me, one of my favorite little bits, a jump plus L1 attack. Remember though, you cannot mix match weapon types with this mechanic. So, I couldn't pair my Bloodhound's Fang with, say, a normal greatsword if I wanted to. Also note, while power stancing, your right-hand weapon will be the weapon skill used when you activate it. Weapons are not the only way to deal damage, however. Spells are a big part of this game, and using them is exclusively reserved for pussies. I'm kidding, but they are a frequent way to cheese a lot of content and make it trivial. But alternatively, there are some fights that make casting damn near impossible. So really, it's contrasted by melee play, where in some fights being very aggressive with power stancing can deal enough damage to blow up a boss before they even have time to react, but highly mobile or aggressive bosses make being a melee a nightmare. Since in my playthrough I never used a spell, you won't be seeing me cast anything in my actual playthrough. But if being a glass cannon using a variety of dope spells and blowing something up from a range before it can close the gap and destroy you sounds like a fun time, give it a go. There are 2 types of magic in this game, sorceries and incantations. For sorceries, you must have a staff actively equipped as a weapon, and for incantations, a seal equipped as a weapon, in order to cast their respective spells. You can equip a number of spells equal to your memory slots, which starts at 2 and increases by 1 for every, quote, memory stone you find in the game, up to 8. Then there is also a talisman, talismans being an accessory equipment slot that increases memory slots by 2. So if you plan on being a caster, in the endgame you can have a maximum of 12 slots to work with. But be mindful, some powerful spells can take up multiple slots. You'll notice both spells and weapons have an alphabetical ranking, with 1 or more stats. This is one way spells and weapons scale their damage. And you increase your stats by leveling up. In order to level up, you need to spend runes. And runes are gained by defeating enemies, and optionally by consuming items you find in your adventuring. I prefer to save these items when I'm either close to a level to close the gap, or when I need to buy something from a vendor, as your runes will also be used as a currency to purchase items from NPCs. Now, the big negative to games in the Souls franchise is when you die, you do drop your runes. However, you have one opportunity to get them back, but if you die on your way to pick up those runes, they are gone forever. However, that is the only thing you will lose, as you will never lose runes that have been spent on your levels, or any equipment you have gathered. You can spend your runes to increase your attributes. For each attribute you increase, your level goes up by 1, and each attribute has a very specific effect on your character, usually paired with an increase to some form of resistance to a damage type. Strength is used to increase your damage with weapons with a strength scaling, as well as an increase to your physical defense. Dexterity is similarly used to increase your damage with weapons that have a dexterity scaling, but it also slightly makes you cast spells faster and supposedly allows you to fall a bit further, but something in me wants to call a hearty BS on that. Intelligence is the strength and dexterity, but for casting sorceries, while faith is the intelligence of incantations. Arcane is unique in that it grants you an increased discovery, which boosts how often you find item drops off enemies you slay. Endurance is twofold, increasing both your stamina, your green bar, which is depleted by attacking or dodging and takes a moment before recharging. It also increases your equip load, which represents how heavy of gear you can equip without being overburdened. Some things to note here. 1. What you have in your bags does not affect your encumbrance whatsoever. Only what you have equipped. So keep every weapon and armor on your person at all times, as there is no reason not to. 2. There are 4 stages to your roll or dodge, which is the most important mechanic to evading attacks. Light/fast rolls are the best roll, with the most invincibility frames for you to seamlessly evade an attack. This is achieved by being 29.9% or lower of your maximum equip load. Medium/normal rolls are the de facto roll of the game, which you should always at least bare minimum strive to achieve, and is achieved by being between 30% and 69.9% of your equip load. Heavy/fat rolls are very slow and terrible for trying to evade an attack. If you are dead set on wearing a heavy armor set you don't quite have the equip load to use effectively, you can technically still play the game with this, but it is highly inadvisable. This is achieved, as you've probably guessed, by being between 70% and 99.9% of your equip load. Overloaded is once you've reached 100% or higher your equip load. At this point, you can't even roll anymore. You just make a drunkenly stagger when you attempt to roll, and all of your movements become molasses. You never ever want to play like this. The 2 remaining attributes, Vigor and Mind, increase your hit point pool and your focus point pool, respectively. HP being your red bar and FP being your blue bar. This game's health and mana. After you've been in the game for a short time, you'll get potions, a flask of Crimson Tears, and a flask of Cerulean Tears, which heal a certain amount of either your HP or FP, depending on which you chug. You have a certain amount of charges to allocate between them, and you can choose to shift that number in any direction. So, as you might have gathered, most of the time, I have maximum charges set to my Crimson Tears for exclusively healing my HP. Though do note, using your weapon's skill consumes FP. So an argument can be made for even a melee-focused build to have a bit of Cerulean Tears charges allocated. You start with 4 charges to allocate, but will quickly increase that number by finding golden seeds, which you'll find at these small golden trees. Always loot the seeds at these trees. If you see this tree in the distance, go get it. Charges to your flasks are very important, and once you get some charges rolling, it will increase how many seeds it takes to grant a charge. Another important note is to go to church. Why? Because in this game, churches have an item to loot called Sacred Tear, which is how you increase the amount your flasks give you when you chug. Never doubt the significance of this. I learned my lesson in Dark Souls 3 in my first playthrough, as, like I said, I do my first playthroughs blind. and I had no idea what an undead bone shard was, and never used it or read the item's text. Yeah, they were the Dark Souls 3 version of the Sacred Tears. Only after I defeated the Soul of Cinder, the last boss of the game at the time, by having to chug my Estus flask 3 to 4 times to get adequate healing after taking damage with a normal, non-upgraded Estus flask, did I realize my buffoonery. As you adventure in this world, you're going to realize just how massive this open-world action RPG really is. While it highly encourages you to explore this world, I know there are some of you who prefer to have a more linear goal in mind. Worry not, as your character is guided by grace, which shows you the path you must travel to fulfill your destiny. Along that way, and in numerous side areas, you will discover a site of lost grace. For those of you familiar with Souls games, this is your bonfire. For those who aren't, this is where you will rest. Activating this site allows you to sit on that rump, fully heal, recharge your flasks, allocate your flasks' charges or upgrade your flasks, where you spend runes to level up, the whole shebang. They also serve as teleport checkpoints, where you can freely traverse the map with fast travel, with a few restrictions. Do note though, resting at a site of grace will respawn all enemies other than certain special mobs and bosses. This is also true for teleporting. You'll also see that when you open your map kinda sucks. You're going to have to find the parts of the map to fill it in yourself. If you look at your dark map, you'll see a pillar-looking thing like this. If you see this mark, that is always where you will find a map part to fill in your map for that area. So, equip your favorite armor, weapons, and spells and get to adventuring. Find side dungeons with bosses that are fairly easy to dispatch, and get some loot and cement your familiarity with the game. Then follow that grace to learn what it means to become someone's bitch, finding the harder bosses of the game along the way. They will absolutely destroy you and break your will, only for you to find your resolve and come back as many times as it takes to defeat that boss that's been making you struggle for that sweet release of relief and that flood of serotonin. If you've ever been curious about games that FromSoft has delivered over the years, now has never been a better time to experience it. If you're a fan of Souls games but haven't wanted to give Elden Ring a try for some reason, believe me, you want to. It is truly a good-ass video game. Though, I do have some negative things to say, but those will wait until the end of the video as my closing statements. So if you want to hear about that but don't want to get spoiled on the bosses, go ahead and skip to the end, because now it's time for me to dive into my playthrough. Again, warning, massive spoilers ahead. You know, basically the entire game.
The fallen leaves tell a story. The great Elden Ring was shattered. In our home, across the fog, the lands between. Now, Queen Marika the Eternal is nowhere to be found. And in the night of the Black Knives, Godwyn the Golden was first to perish. Soon, Marika's offspring, demigods all, claimed the shards of the Elden Ring. The mad taint of their newfound strength triggered the shattering. A war from which no lord arose. A war leading to abandonment by the greater will. Oh, rise now, ye tarnished, ye dead who yet live. The call of long-lost grace speaks to us all. Hoarah Loux, chieftain of the Badlands, the ever-brilliant Gold Mask. Fear, the deathbed companion, the loathsome dung-eater, and Sir Gideon Ofnir, the all-knowing. And one other, whom grace would again bless. A tarnished of no renown. Cross the fog to the lands between. To stand before the Elden Ring and become the Elden Lord.
Alrighty, here we go. Just to give you an idea of what's to come, I've edited the previous section and now I'm looking over footage I've recorded of my playthrough as I went. Basically, I'm going to give a commentary of the game, well, my playthrough of the game, its story, and how I ended up taking on some of the more challenging bosses or segments of the game. And it's going to be pretty rapid fire because I don't want this video getting insanely long because I'm pretty sure it's already going to be far too long. Anyway, let's get to it. So we get a classic intro into FromSoft games which gives you a basic idea of what the world you're diving into is going through, and a glimpse of some of the important figures of the game. It gives you an idea what's to come for bosses and potential allies or people to quest for. Again, I did my playthrough almost entirely blind, and only now once I've beat the game and edited my video am I unblinding myself. Oh, and also keep in mind, I never said I was good at the game. You're going to see a lot of terrible gameplay, but you know, like you're any better. I'm going to skip over most of me walking around the world though, and a lot of side areas. Really, we're only going to focus on important moments and harder bosses, and how I dealt with them. So, let's get to some of those more important moments, yeah? So we meet this big guy, he kills you, moving on. You go through a little tutorial area, or you can choose to bypass it and head right into this. As you look around, you see the scenery is just... I mean, it really pulls you in right from the get-go. Beautiful. But you do see there's a boy down there, and you know they're just taunting you with him. And of course, I had to make that my first priority. Now taking on this guy, it was kind of a little bit of a shock into the game, but that's a good thing. Because he is optional at this point as far as I can tell, and his attacks are nice and slow, and you can evade them pretty easily as long as you start paying attention. And that's what this is all about. Getting you to pay attention, getting you to the pace of the game. You can see very slow attacks. Now at that point I had broken his poise, which usually allows you a critical hit. I could not see the crit point though. So I just kept on swinging, making room, checking his attacks. Overall this fight took me, I believe, about 6 attempts. It's all about either keeping distance, knowing when to go in, watching his movements. Yet again, there was a poise break, allowing a crit attack. I'm guessing it's at the horse's head. I'm not entirely sure. I never actually saw it. Yeah, almost died there. Very glad I didn't. That one right there, I felt like when I was playing it really shouldn't have hit me, but so it goes. And this is when I saw my opportunity, but then it was taken away from me. I was really kind of pussyfooting, waiting for that opportunity to finish him off. And then I went for it, and I got a little lucky, but I feel like it was earned. So then when you first rest at one of the graces later, you're approached by one of the main NPCs you'll be seeing a lot of. Basically the waifu of the game.
Greetings, traveler from beyond the fog. I am Malenia.
Hello, Malenia. We all know who she is. We saw her in the previews. Come on.
I offer you an accord. Have you heard of the Finger Maidens?
Finger Maidens?
They serve the two fingers.
The two?
Offering guidance and aid to the tarnished. But you, I am afraid, are maidenless.
You don't gotta call me out like that, girl.
I can play the role of maiden.
Okay.
Turning runes into strength.
Oh.
To aid you in your search for the Elden Ring.
Word.
You need only take me with you to the foot of the Erd Tree.
Right.
Then it's settled.
Let's go.
Summon me by grace to turn runes into strength.
I.e. leveling up.
Ah, another matter. I bequeath to you this ring.
Queef it to me.
Use it to traverse great distances.
Give me that mount.
It will summon a spectral steed named Torrent. Torrent has chosen you.
Nice.
Treat him with respect.
I think I'm going to get him killed over and over again. So, I traverse the world a little at this point, and this is an Ever Jail. There is one in every main section of a zone. There might be more, I don't know for sure. But this, I am showing, he's not necessarily a hard boss, but he is where I got my Bloodhound's Fang, which I carry through almost the entire game. I did die to him once before. He just kind of had wonky movements for me to read right away, but he's got real low health. At the time, I was planning on power stancing katanas, but I only had one katana, and when I found his sword, I was just like, yeah, I want to use this. Basically, I wanted to go a bleed build no matter what I was doing, because I've used bleed in some way, shape, and form in most Dark Souls games, and I just like the idea of building up the bleed. So then, here is Margit. He is probably going to be most players' big roadblock. You really have to slow down and learn his moveset. And it is an important one to learn because they introduce you to this right here, a wind-up attack. They utilize that way too much in this game, in my opinion, but that staggered attack or delayed attack, whatever you want to call it, you have to learn the timing. You just have to. Only later did I learn, I believe, a jump attack while he's winding that up literally just brings him into a poise break and you can crit him. What I heard, I didn't actually get one off, so I don't know. Here's what could be called a delayed attack, but it's more of an aerial attack, but it is certainly delayed. Those are very easy to avoid. Just roll when they're about to make their impact right now. See? Very simple. But he has a wide array of attacks that go from wind-ups to delayeds to quicks. They'll mix you up a lot. You have to be on your toes about what to look for. I was even surprised how many times it took me to get to this point. I believe he took me 15 attempts. But a good learning experience.
I shall remember thee, tarnished, smouldering with thy meager flame. Cower in fear of the night. The hands of the fell omen shall brook thee no quarter.
So then you trek through a castle and you're met with this big boy.
Mighty dragon, thou'rt a true-born heir. Lend me thy strength, O kindred. Deliver me unto greater heights.
This is a little asterisk in my no summon policy. I did use a summon on this fight. Honestly, I couldn't help using the summon because I was brought back to a moment in Dark Souls 3. And it felt like a very impactful story choice with the character you can summon, and I didn't want to miss out on a potential questline if I could run into it. So I wanted to be sure I used her, but I gotta admit, I kinda wish I didn't.
I am the lord of all that is golden.
I will say, this is only my second attempt, and his moveset really didn't look that difficult to learn, but as you can see, my summon is just tanking way too much of the fight, and it just felt bad, you know? I wanted to not do that, and I felt like I kind of cheated myself. And the thing is, I'm sure you can run into her again later. I only saw her once in the main hub and then never again. I don't know if she shows back up or not. But I can't even really critique this fight that well. He had a lot of slow attacks, very easy to avoid, but then he would just switch into a cleave mode, so it became a dance of going in to get out. But then of course there's this move that enters into phase 2. And he is a beast for doing that. Delicious.
Truest of dragons. Lend me thy strength.
Oh, fist me, daddy. I'll stick it in there good. I really wanted him to just start a ventriloquist act here with the dragon head, you know? Witness! So yeah, basically he just becomes a slightly more powerful version of what he was. You just now have to watch out for the fire attacks as well. And I know it's kind of retrospect and I can't really know for sure, but I really do feel like this fight wouldn't have actually taken me that many attempts, even if I didn't use the summon. I'm wagering it would have been a 5 to 8 attempt fight, if that. But that right there, that you need to not get hit by, tell you what. And that becomes a very classic rule of don't be near that arm. And don't run away from this flame if you get caught in it. Bad move. I'm feeling like you want to close the gap with him and remain on his axe side, not his dragon side. And you want to be close so if he does that fire cone, you can just easily sidestep it or turn around. But again, I feel like I kind of cheesed that and I feel bad about that, but so it goes. Thank you, Nefala. Or Nefali? I forget what her name is. Goodbye. So this is the next big boss, and it takes a lot to get here. There's a lot that happened between these 2 points. Somehow the audio got messed up for the first phase. I don't know what happened, but the music I used in the rest of the video, the overview, is the song that plays during her fight, so I'm just reusing that. But I love the vibe of this fight. It only took me 2 attempts, so it's actually not that difficult. But the feel of this fight with the children, her floating there, the magic, the music, the eerie overall theme, this is FromSoft to me, and I absolutely love it. Even if the fight was as easy as it was, it just hit me in a good way, you know? Oh, she pretty. So yeah, it starts out and, you know, you just have to start murdering children. No, you do actually have to kill that one in particular, the one with that gold ring around them, whatever you want to call it. As they're singing, they are what is maintaining her overshield. You need to hit enough of them to break that shield. And then she will descend, and then you can hit her. Whiff, I do. She really doesn't have that much HP, so you can cut it down pretty quick. Generally speaking, you could probably burn her through phase 1. I'm not entirely sure. Or not a phase, but you can probably burn her down in only 1 attempt there after the overshield breaks. So yeah, this is just me desperately looking for the singing child and just slaying them because I can't find it. Usually you will probably find them a lot quicker. I was being pretty stupid here. I love how they just fall from the ceiling too. Oh, I love it. And I kept hitting those, thinking I was missing something and that there wasn't actually a singing child and I had to now hit the globes, but I was wrong. I got a little kill happy here, didn't I? I just could not find that child. I wish the audio didn't bork here because I realize that there is they're singing and you can hear that. So if you can't find the child, you just have to open your ears. Oh. Follow the singing choir boys. Ow. Yeah, the other attempt I had, I did this phase almost instantly, but, you know. And so you take her down, but oh, but then. So I gotta admit, lore-wise, I wasn't entirely sure what was going on here, which is pretty standard for FromSoft until you deep dive the lore, and even then it's speculation. But where exactly they pull you into here, I'm not sure, but I loved it. Nice little T-pose. Oh, I love it. I love it. She looks like a porcelain doll. And I'm sure that was intentional. Now let's go! Now in this phase, I do have audio, so we get to hear her laser beams. Now you can see here, she still just does not have a lot of health, but she does have some devastating spells. And you just kind of be on your toes, and she also has this, summons. And those got a little annoying, and I panicked a little too hard on them. I really didn't have to worry about them as much as I did, but you'll see. So yeah, a lot of side strafing with her. A lot of missile and beam-based attacks, which are stationary, and you just have to get out of their way. Or very slow heat-seeking attacks, just keep running, get out of the way. And of course, she summoned my weapon boy. He was kind of annoying to deal with, and then I just whiff. But then he goes away. Like I said, side strafe the lasers and missiles. And then of course she summons a dragon. And at this point, I really wanted to focus her. Again, I was just in panic mode, and so I was just maneuvering around the dragon. I really didn't want to die for some reason, even though it was only my second attempt. And a complete whiff again. Then I get hit anyway. And then yet another summon. I feel like just about anyone else at this point would have had her dead. I was playing really poorly on this fight. And then I saw that, and I was like, what does that do? First I thought it was stationary, but it's just a slowly tracking thing. And you just evade. I swear to God I hit evade there, and it just didn't come out, but yeah, we'll chalk that up to me being an idiot. There's that Q system. Absolutely beautiful. And now once you do this, you're brought back, and that person right there is how you will respecialize your statistics and attributes should you ever choose to. So then that opens up another side area, and you work through another bit, and you're met with this boss here. I one-shot this boss even though it was very sloppily done, but hey, my defense is I didn't know the moves. A lot of it comes down to evade the polearm attacks. Like, you find the rhythm in this fight, at least you should, I didn't. But attack, evade, and in that weaving, you want to hit them in between that. Don't try to chain your attacks, you're going to get caught up. Evade, hit. They do a couple magic attacks, they're really easy to avoid. I shouldn't even have gotten hit by those, but I'm an idiot, as we've established. This one, very easy to avoid. Rolling forward is a very simple way to avoid that. And do better than me at avoiding the polearm attacks, please. I got hit by just about all of them, and I cannot believe I one-shot this boss because of that. Not a very hard boss, though, to be honest. And, yep, got greedy. Baffled I didn't die there. Boom, got very lucky it hit the chair there too. I think I still would have evaded it, but... Right there, you could see in that tiny last bit, that rhythm I was talking about, the evade, hit. And that would be a very good way to deal with that boss. And then this is when I met... her.
I see. A choice well made. Thou art a rare sword. Not many would have accepted the offer, but I require as much of those under my command. I anticipate good work from thee.
I heard about you. Good to finally meet. Name's Blythe.
Hello, Blythe.
Sworn sword to Mistress Rani.
My bro.
Glad to have you aboard. Well, getting right to business. I'm situated in Limgrave right now. The eternal city of Nokron lies somewhere at the bottom of this land. I'm planning to go below through the well in the Mistwood. See if I can't find the road to Nokron from there.
I'm just gonna let you guys kind of get the vibe of what's going on here.
Good to see you. Apologies, mate, but I don't have much to report. I can see bloody Nokron right above me, but I'm absolutely stumped. I've tried all the gateways, to no avail. perhaps it's time to ask Celevis. I recall that spiteful little rat acting like he knew something. Let's give him a squeeze.
Squeeze his balls.
Show him just how sharp my teeth are.
Balls.
Ah, there you are. Took your sweet time. The players are all made up and waiting for the curtain. Let's give them a show to remember, eh? Just don't you go dying on me. For Ranni's sake, too.
So basically, I swear my fealty to Ranni. I love my boy, Blythe, as a compatriot. And then you're sent through that quest line to fight Radahn, one of the big boys. Yes, I am summoning many people here, but I really felt like that's what is intentional here, because the whole thing building up to this point is this is a party, a battle of multiple people coming together to fight Radahn. And so this first little bit, just evade that missile coming in. It's a little bit delayed from the distance, but it's pretty easy to get. This thing, I still don't quite know how you're supposed. I don't know if you're just supposed to outrun it or evade at the right time when they're falling. I was too focused on getting summons out because I'm an idiot. This fight took me, I believe, 3 or 4 attempts. I was actually surprised, but I did get a little lucky, and you'll see why in a moment. The first time you're riding in here, it's a little chaotic because everyone's getting in there. Some people are useful, some really aren't. And it's kind of hard to read his attacks when he's doing them on other people. Accidentally got off my mount there. Did not mean to do that. And honestly, I don't know if it's better to fight him on mount or not. I feel like getting under him and just hard actually reading his attacks would be better. This got a little scary at first because he does that and you kind of go, oh crap, what's going to happen? And then you're like, where did he go? Huh. I wonder what's going on. Well, I guess I'll get my souls. Oh man, what is that? And you're just dead. Yeah. That is an ability he does once you get him below half health. Now, I dive right back into this. I was doing another run just to try to get the idea of his abilities, and I killed him. Basically, I hit him enough to break his poise and my bleed procced right when he was going to jump into that meteor phase. And so I just killed him. Yeah, that's it. Basically, I would recommend, since you can't really time that, to be very careful for the first bit, but once he's getting near half health, go ballistic. Go in hard. Try to break his poise during that. So, after you do kill him though, this happens. Skadoosh.
Ah, good. I was waiting for you. Oh, what a sick way to fight, eh? The glory of the clash is shared. By Radahn. And you. And did you see that afterwards? A falling star right before our eyes. I can't fathom how Radahn was holding back something of that scale. He was a living legend if ever I saw one. And the path has now been cleared. To Nokron, where Ranni's fate will be decided. Let's meet where the falling star bit the earth. We'll take up our swords once more. For Mistress Ranni.
Hell yeah, brother. So it took me a while actually to find this. I kind of hopscotched around a lot of teleport points, and then I got to this one, I was like, oh, that wasn't there before. And you go in there and you can quite see that the meteor, the star, whatever had fallen, did some damage, and you got to work your way down there. Once you do work your way down there, you're met with a big city you got to work through, and then there's this boss, which first attempt, very easy fight. Basically, it's just a mirror image of you. I was actually surprised it used the grease I had on my weapon before I even walked in. Kind of a nice touch. But yeah, just outplay yourself, the end. You know, I have always wanted to KMS, so... But right there you see, they only have one flask to use, and you have full flasks, so... A little tilted in your favor, huh? Goodbye. Very easy fight. I don't know how much that varies from build to build, but yeah, very easy. So then, yeah, you work your way through. You go to that guy. I still don't know what those guys are, but you find a chest, you find an item. Wasn't sure if it's the item she wanted. I don't remember if I even read the text on the item. It probably says, but then you come back and return it to her.
Not blithe, it seemeth.
You don't find Blythe.
Even in my slumber I sensed it.
At least I didn't.
It is in thy possession, is it not? The hidden treasure of Nokron. My thanks. Finally all the pieces are in place. Soon must I begin my journey. Upon the dark path only I may tread.
Yeah.
But before I leave, I shall entrust thee with this. My thanks for thy sterling efforts. A strange gift, perhaps. But a rare sort such as thee would welcome it, I'm sure. I am certain now. Fate steered us to our reunion.
That's right.
I must thank Torrent, too, for his part. You may leave now. It was but brief. But thou gavest me fine service.
So yeah, you use that item at another location. It tells you right on the item. And you run into this fat boy. I'm kind of... I broke his poison. I wanted to get the crit there, and that was a big mistake. Big. Get it? Because he's big. Wasn't that hard. It took like 3 attempts, I think. But again, don't know if most people use their mount or not. I found it helped a lot. There's that frame drop. The frame drops can get annoying. Be wary. Poking me in the face, you freaking dick. So yeah, the more you go, it leads you here, and it clearly seems to be Ranni's actual corpse, as the forms you talk to are a puppet. Little worse for wear there, yeah. So I got inclined to go back to Ranni's to check on that to see what's up, and there was a grace that wasn't there before, and I found that quite curious. So I looked at my map, and the piss trail actually leads to the other tower, and I was like, okay, guess I'll go there. Once I got there, I was met with this. And mind you, previously, this tower had been completely blocked off by some kind of force field. And it leads you to this area, where the first thing you loot is this. Clearly has something directly to do with Ranni. Didn't know what, and then I rested at the first grace point, and I was like, Nani? There's an option to talk to the doll. Little weird to be talking to dolls. And I was like, oh, it doesn't talk back. I am just crazy. But I got an idea to go check Ranni's bonfire, that new one that popped up. So I went to check that. And, lo and behold, you can't talk to the doll. Okay, I'm guessing you could just do it in the other zone, so I figured I would just explore that zone. And I found another grace, tried it again, still didn't work, but there's still the option. So then the next grace, this happened.
A dogged fellow, aren't we? Or is it merely thy habit to talk to dolls? Fine.
Bitch.
Fine. I hadn't expected any soul to recognize me in this guise. But now the cat is out the bag. I cannot allow thee thy freedoms. Perform for me a service as
I'm your bro.
recompense. Eliminate the baleful shadows which prowl these lands. The name of Ranni the Witch is already sullied by thee. I will not brook disobedience in this matter.
How did I sully her, though? I still don't understand that.
Past a while. I was once an Imperium of the demigods. Only I, Mikola, and Malenia could claim that title. Each of us was chosen by our own 2 fingers.
2 fingers.
As a candidate to succeed Queen Marika. To become the new god of the coming age. Which is when I received Blythe. In the form of a vassal tailored for an Imperium. But I would not acquiesce to the 2 fingers. I stole the rule of death. Slew mine own Imperium flesh. casting it away. I would not be controlled by that thing. The Two Fingers and I have been cursing each other ever since, and the baleful shadows are their assassins.
Let's go kill a baleful shadow.
Even when I turned my back upon the Two Fingers, Blythe remained my loyal ally. Though he was created a vassal for an Aryan, he was a colossal failure on the part of the Two Fingers, Blythe and E.G. both. Art willing to give too much to me, yet they both understand what lieth beyond the dark path, that I must betray everything and rid the world of what came before. Ah. Should I add thee to the list?
Yes.
Another one. Kind of heart. As kind of heart as they. Ah. This form hath loosened my tongue. I've let slip too much. Forget what thou'st heard. Forget.
Sure, I'll forget. So then you're met with what appears to be a shadow version of Blythe, or something akin to him. Took me a couple attempts, not too many. Very aggressive. Need to be on your feet a bit. I get hit way more than I should here. I take very bad moments to heal, although I do think this is one of the bosses. Not all of them do, but a lot of them do in this game. They actually kind of read your inputs a bit, and if they're in a position to make an opportunity of attack on you while you're healing, they will. I found his movements to be a little hard to predict, though. Usually I can kind of get the basis for like there. I was hitting the roll button. I know it didn't come out, but I know for a fact at that point I was spamming my evade button. I don't know what was up there. But, yeah, very poorly played on my part in this fight. I was just off on everything I tried to do. But I still muscled through it. Just hard unga bunga.
My thanks. 'Twas more of a challenge than I envisioned. Now I can finally stand before them. This is farewell, and E.G. I love them.
You can go use that key on the chest near the chick you respecialize at. And then you're met with the Lake of Rot, and it is exactly as bad as you anticipate. If you've played Souls games, this is your poison level. And then you find a coffin, and we go freaking Indiana Jones style down this waterfall of blood. And then when we fall to the bottom, we awaken Skyrim. Glowing mushrooms and chorus eggs galore. Then you're met with this boss, which was a very unique boss. I got... yeah, hey, welcome, bitch. Laser beam to the face. I did one-shot this boss. Again, love the whole design, the whole astrology theme of this game with the stars. Absolutely adore it. But saw his big-ass head and decided, yeah, that's probably the best bet for a meleeer to go slap that thing up. And man, look at that grin. He's happy. He's a happy boy. Look at him. Yeah, I don't know what lore-wise this guy's supposed to be. Just like an alien centipede. I like it. It's really cool. I wasn't sure, though. But yeah, beat his head up a lot. Broke the poise. Got my crit. He's already under half health. Didn't know if he had his second phase or not. I don't think he did. But yeah, I just walloped him. Thankfully, he could be bled. That helped me a lot in this one, I think. But yeah, I don't know if he's supposed to be a harder one or not. I don't think so. And then you're met with a new location you can get to and a dragon that took me 2 attempts. I decided to try Scarlet Rot and Poison. I wanted to see if I could apply them both to this fight. Because the first time I did this dragon, they seem to have a lot of health, and a lot of dragons do, especially when you do try to kill them the way I generally do, which is hack away at their feet. But yeah, tried to get that attack on the head and whiffed it. Whiffed all 3 attacks, got all of that. But at this point, I think... Yeah, no, Rot's not built up yet. Took a while. I'm pretty sure I did apply Scarlet Rot. But yeah, dragons have kind of a rhythm to them in this game. And I saw I got Scarlet Rot, so I wanted to get Poison on as well. I don't remember if I actually applied the Poison as well or not. But it is bleedable. That helped a lot again. I was spamming jump. I don't know why jump didn't come out there. Did there, so I got the head slap. But yeah, just really hug the belly. As soon as you see the movement in a dragon, try to get to their belly, because the tail swipe will be avoided. A lot of stomps can be avoided. Just really try to avoid the basic attacks that are pretty easily readable from dragons. Then the deeper you go, you find this broken and beaten doll of Ranni, where she apparently had slain her 2 fingers. And I hadn't shown 2 fingers before in this video. You meet them before and you learn that they're like arbiters or speakers for a greater, higher power, the greater will. Marry me, please. Become my sex doll. 'Cause she's a doll. Never mind. Milady. Milady. It's stinky down here. Aha, my true lady.
So it was thee who would become my lord. Perhaps I needn't have warned thee. I am pleased, however. Thou art a fitting choice.
That's right.
I go now to the night sky. It is there I shall find mine order. I bid thee travel the path of the Lord, and once all is done, we shall see each other once more.
Nice. 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 Oh, what's that? So, she had previously told me to check on her people, so I went back to her tower and heard some mutterings, and there was Blaidd. And I was like, hey bro, how's it going? Oh my god! And yes, they make you do it. I was very sad. He fights a lot like the Baleful Shadow. Very sporadic. Very hard for me to read because I'm an idiot. But he has a few different attacks. He uses kind of frost instead of whatever that other damage type was. Cursed fire, I don't know. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say on this fight, except you can cheese him on the stairs a bit there, which I found kind of funny. But yeah, very similar. I got lucky. It looked like he hit the crystal there instead of me. But very sad. Blaidd was my brother. My brother. However, you loot him and you get some cool stuff. I decided I should probably check on the other people that served Ranni, but had to take a moment for my brother, you know. My bro. Why did you attack me, bro? Why? Why must I have murdered you, bro? But I got to Solovis, which I didn't show because he's a douchebag, and I didn't do anything for him. But he did. I'm not entirely sure why, but as Ranni didn't mention him ever, yeah, maybe he was plotting something, not sure. Looked around his little hovel and found this, and I was like, what this do? And hey. Hello, I am now Blaidd, and I have the sword. I am the champion of Ranni. I am Blaidd. Hello, yes. It is I, that boy. And I now look dope. And yes, I decided to not use the Bloodhound's Fang anymore. So, that whole bit with Ranni was an entire side quest. At the time, I believed it would lead to a different ending, and, well, we'll see when we get there.
Graceless, tarnished.
But now I'm back on the main path, heading toward the tree, the Erd tree,
What is thy business with these thrones?
for the purpose of Elden Ringing.
Godrick the Golden. The twin prodigies, Mikola and Malenia. General Radahn. Praetor Rykard. Luna Princess Ranni.
He just name drops all the big names right there.
Willful traitors. All.
Yeah, what you gonna do about it?
Thy kind are all of a piece.
Hearing a lot of bitching from someone I've already smacked. That's right.
Pillagers, emboldened by the flame of ambition.
Okay. Nice oil sword.
Have it writ upon thy meager grave. Felled by King Morgott,
Morgott.
last of all kings.
You said you were Margit. Very, very clever cover, my man. So yeah, this guy took me like 4 or 5 attempts. Had to get used to the new weapon, which is actually pretty good, in my opinion. The Moonlight Greatsword builds up Frostbite, and you can use this as its special action once you have powered it up to launch a Getsuga Tensho, basically just an energy wave that I'm pretty sure it builds up Frostbite as well. I believe this is the only boss you see me use it on, though. I used it on a lot of side dungeons in the meantime. But basically, this guy is just a souped-up Margit. Like, Margit prepped you for this fight, and he uses the sword instead of the cane. He has a couple new moves, and a lot of moves that are based on his previous actions, just, again, souped up. You really just have to wait, be patient. I feel like I kind of cheesed him a bit with that sword, but hey, that's why we're here, you know? And I thought that was a poise break. I was wrong. That was him entering his second phase. Just prepared for him. He's far more mobile than he appears, and in this second phase he does this attack. You can probably go in as well, but getting out of it was the best for me. I mean, Margit really does prepare you for this fight. Wait for the delayed attacks, wait for him to attack and make your move. If you have a way... Yeah, that's new, though. That owned me. I thought I was gonna die, and he was almost dead, and I was pissed. I didn't find him that difficult, and I honestly, if you're ranged, magic, or bow-based, I'm sure he's even easier. So, once I killed him, I realized that I could turn his soul in for another curved greatsword, and this is what I mean by when I started power stancing 2 curved greatswords with bleed. So then after that, you are told that you can't actually enter the Erd Tree, you have to do all this other side crap. And so you build your way up the mountain, yada yada yada. And after a lot of trekking, you end up here, where Malenia regales you with
There
this.
is something I'd like to say. My purpose was given to me by my mother, but now I act of my own volition. I have set my heart upon the world that I would have, regardless of my mother's designs. I won't allow anyone to speak ill of that, not even you.
And then the next big boy you're met with is this, who I hate to admit took me 2 attempts, because I almost had him the first time and I was just dicking around and trying different things. And even though I'm just whiffing here like an idiot, I don't even know what I'm doing here. But, yeah. Oh, that's right. This is when every now and then my controller would desync. I don't know if it's a problem with the game or my controller, so I can't really call out the game for that. But, like, I just wouldn't jump and it wouldn't attack, and only one button would work, the L2 attack, I think. And yeah, so even with all that, now my controller's working. I'm like, okay, now I can move. But you see he has loose binds on that foot. Very clear you're supposed to attack that foot. I found being on the horse helped a lot in this fight personally. You can evade his attacks really easy because he has a lot of moves that you can evade with a roll, but he kind of keeps going. So it'll still hit you when you get up from the roll. So I found just getting out with the horse far superior. I wanted to try dotting him up. Really, I shouldn't have. You just beat on his leg. Get that leg down. And get that ankle, baby. He's very slow. Just get out of what is clearly you need to get out of. Don't stand in fire. Don't get hit by his shield. Don't get hit by his foot stomp. Just be very aware of your surroundings. Leave yourself some open room to work with. Oh, that's gotta feel great. I feel you, brother. Why, God, why? Okay, yeah, why, God, why? Delicious. A snack for later. Yum, 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 yum. Yum, 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 yum. Smell my foot, God. Ooh. Sharingan. And he just kind of, at this point, becomes a more aggressive version of himself, and he gets a little more roly-poly and more flames. It's basically just more of the same. Just make sure you watch out for all of it. And he growls a lot. And I love the hip thrust into fire. Beautiful design. Slap his balls up a little bit while you're down there. Give him a tickle. I wanted to hit his wounded leg because I feel like that was the spot to go for, but he kept having it covered by this little cliff, and that was kind of annoying. And he does a lot of rolling, like I said, roly-poly. And I just kept weaving in and out. He didn't hit me too often. As you can see, he got me there. But yeah, very, very easy. Get a little jump attack in and go for that leg again. I don't know why I was going for that leg with the bracer, which is armored. But then magically he died. I don't think I got a bleed proc. I didn't hear it that time. I'm not sure if you do go for the other leg or if I hit the eye with a cleave somehow or what. But he did. And once you defeat him, you go straight up to this kiln at the very top of the world. Beautiful scenery as you go. We're not going to talk about the fact that my souls are on the other side of this gap and I tried to jump over. We're just going to gloss right over that fact. But good view of the Erd Tree. Good view of clouds. And once you rest at the Grace, obviously you can talk to Malenia and progress the quest. Yo, what up?
I have long observed the lands between. This world is in dire need of repair and death. Indiscriminate. Are you prepared to commit a cardinal sin?
Yeah, let's go, baby.
Very well.
Yeah.
Let my hand rest upon
Yo, hand holding?
for but a moment.
Are we about to hold frickin' hands? Ew, dude. Oh, how is this allowed? This should be censored in Japan. This should be censored. Oh my god, my innocence. Yo, wait. What? Yo, did that bitch roofie me, dude? I'm never holding hands again. I knew holding hands wasn't worth it. I knew it, dude. Bitch. You learned your lesson here, boys and girls. Never hold hands. Disgusting. Yeah, throw them Naruto hand signs, baby. Katom! Fireball doo-doo!
Oh, Erd tree.
Is she T-posing on that Erd tree? No, wait, hold up. Is that bitch praising the sun? Praise be.
Burn for the sake of the new lord.
But I'm the new lord, and you roofied me. You look dope on fire, though.
Thank you for guiding me here.
You're welcome. I'd rather you not have roofied me. Don't you dare hold my hand again.
The one who walks alongside flame shall one day meet the road of destined death.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye. Goodbye. Goodbye. So we're dead. World's dead. Game over. Credits scene. Wait a minute. I'm not dead. I'm Blithe. Oh boy. Don't you just hate it when you hold hands, get roofied, and then get sent to hell? Although this place looks amazing. I love this place. But you see how there's like 400 dragons whirling around tornadoes and whirlwinds? I'm pretty sure I'm about to get butt-sexed by a dragon. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna get butt-sexed by a dragon. There's about to be dragon butt-sexing me. I can feel it. It's just one of those things, you know. What do you know? Look at that. Right on time. Get out of here. So, this guy took... he's not even necessarily a boss, I don't think. But he has a huge health pool. And he's not actually that hard. You just kind of have to learn what to avoid. But he takes forever, so I cut down the scene a little bit. And it was probably just me. He probably has a very clear weak spot in his face or something. But like I said before, me and dragons, I go for them feetsies. He's basically your standard dragon, except he flies up and has Omega Chaos Lightning. Looks dope, though. Very cool. I don't know how that keeps whiffing. I really don't. But these big boys are how you get that, which I briefly go over prior to upgrading your weapon. That's how you get it to the highest tier. Very limited item. But then you're met with these two boys, and you saw me fight the fat boy before in Ranni's quest. The other guy you find elsewhere, and in this point you have to fight them both. Very chaotic fight. Pretty hard. Took me about 7 attempts, I believe. I recommend using these pillars as a blockade, but when Fat Boy gets Omega Fat, he will break them, and I think something else broke them. I don't remember offhand. But very chaotic fight. Get healing when you can. Use the pillars to your advantage. Watch both of them, see what they're doing. Try to focus one down at a time. They have a shared health pool, and you can kill them, but they will revive. So it's best to focus one, get them out of the fight for as long as they can, and then you can focus just one while the other is revived. So like here you see I killed him, now I just have to deal with this guy. A lot easier to do, they still have the same health pool, and he will come back. When he goes into this animation here, he gets freaking Gumby on you, so you gotta watch out, his range goes up, he's a wicked caster, those flames hurt. So just kinda weave in and out with this guy. Whereas the fat guy, get the hits you can, get out. Kind of similar, but very different ways. So right here, that animation is how he's bringing back the other guy. So now I've killed him, but the other one's back. Still the same shared health pool. I love his rapier poke. There's just something about it I absolutely love. And I don't know why I'm bad at evading that. I'm usually pretty good at just rolling into rapier thrusts, but, you know. Man, I don't know how that didn't kill me, to be perfectly honest. And then he went Omega mode, so I swapped here and tried to get some distance. Let him break that pillar and hopefully evade him here. Tried to use the base of the pillar to my advantage, failed. Swap back to him since he wasn't big boy anymore. He was right in my face, and I just tried to burn it. I did not. There was something about this fight I just desperately did not want to deal with. So at this point, I was just, I was sweating. Out of fights that are considered, quote, fun in this game, that one was definitely not fun to me. But then you work through the rest of the area and you're met with this boy. Another one, the first phase I found very unfun. Second phase I actually found fun. This guy took me 4 or 5 attempts. Definitely his first phase was worse for me. I just feel like, and I'm probably just wrong, like I'm not saying this is actually the case, but I feel like his hitboxes were expanded. And I don't mean that in my favor. I mean his strikes hit far longer and wider than I expected them to. So again, use the pillar to your advantage. Try to get his ranged attacks to hit that. Not you. Almost died there, as you can see. Very close. Again, don't know how I didn't die there, honestly. But I really feel like getting in on him is difficult because every time I got in on him, he would have a reaction that was a very quick cleaving attack. Very hard for me personally to evade. So really you want to try to get in when he's doing his ranged attack, but then again, he just reacts violently and quickly. Be on your toes with this fight. He's a gross boy, isn't he? Look at them nails, dude. Go to a salon. Get a pedicure.
Become my blade once more.
Oh yeah, gotta love the red and black. Very Thrall Doomhammer-esque, you know, vanilla Thrall from Warcraft armor vibes for me. Very cool color scheme. Very good looking armor. Got the red and black in there too. Nice. Very nice. So his phase 2 is dramatically different than his first phase. Completely different set of attacks. I found it far more fun to deal with. I feel like he actually would have been better served as a boss where when he entered his second phase, he actually got all of his health back. Because I was able to Unga Bunga a little too hard in this attempt, and I feel like I shouldn't have been able to do that. However, I found him fun, pretty simple. At the end of the day, once I got him, the first phase was far harder for me. I would have actually liked to fight him longer in phase 2.
To kill what?
So once you kill him, you get whatever this is, some kind of rip or tear in reality. I don't even know what this area was supposed to be. So I don't know if it's another realm. I don't know if it's just another location within the world. I'm not sure. I haven't deep dived the lore of Elden Ring yet. But once you defeat him, you're approached with this, and you have your opportunity to go back to the world once you were roofied. God, that looks so cool. Man, I'm a sucker for red and black. I'm an edgy bitch.
is unbound.
Unbind these nuts.
The lands between are shrouded by death's dark fate. But the flames will also burn the impenetrable thorns.
And if you couldn't tell, I am being quiet on purpose during their talking, so this is kind of meant to be the pace for the story.
Farewell it is then.
Did I do that? Technically, I didn't.
You'll be Elden Lord yet.
You're damn right. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey, baby. Get up. Wake up. Grab your make up. I just got fade away, take up. Why do you keep on table? 1, 2. Tip. Ah, shit. Here we go again. So you wake back and clearly things have gone awry since you've been gone and been roofied. You work your way back through where you've already worked through and you met with this guy.
I knew you'd come to stand before the Elden Ring, to become Elden Lord. What a sad state of affairs. I commend your spirit, but alas, none shall
Yeah,
take
okay,
the
bye.
throne. Queen Margit helps continue to struggle.
So I didn't really show him before, but he was kind of a pseudo-leader at the main hub. Kind of a prick the whole way through, honestly, though. Not very difficult. He uses a lot of spells, but once you learn what they are, they're not that hard to deal with. I thought I was going to get him on this first attempt, and I didn't. It took me one other attempt. But, yeah, he's got the Rennala beam, he's got the beam, he's got the swords. Really, the biggest thing you have to watch out for are his Destructo discs. He goes full Krillin mode here. And even if you evade, I feel like you still get hit, and I got kind of stuck there and died. We're going to ignore that and just show me killing him.
A tarnished cannot become a lord. Not even you. A man cannot kill.
We'll see about that. But yeah, he really isn't that bad. I don't think he would be for any sort of build. You just have to watch out for the discs and the beam and the swords. I mean, really, he's not that bad. But then after him, after him, do we find a pain in my balls. This fight up ahead took me about 50 attempts to take down, and it was really my first, like, head-banging roadblock. I gotta say, his first phase I found incredibly fun. I actually really liked his first phase. There's a rhythm to it, you can learn the moves, and it's just fun. His second phase, however, is just the worst.
It's been a long while, Morgott.
Been a while. Yeah, Morgott, he can suck my dick.
Long and hard didst thou
Yeah,
fight,
I'm long and hard.
tarnished warrior,
Yes,
spurned by the grace of gold.
sure. I've been following the Peach Rail.
Be assured the Elden Ring resteth close at hand.
All right, let's go, baby. Yeah, I had nothing to do with that, by the way. Not at all. Not me, promise.
Alas, I am returned.
Okay.
To be granted audience once more.
Gerb.
Upon my name as Godfrey, the first Elden
Did you know your name backwards is gay? So yeah, I hate that this was the fight that I was victorious, because I do terrible on his first phase. I actually learned his first phase good, believe it or not, and I avoided most of his attacks most of the time once I learned it. I was just frustrated at this point, honestly. I hadn't died this much in this game at all, anywhere yet, and yeah, he just kind of tilted me in his second phase, but we'll get to that. His first phase has a lot of hard swings. Right there is a very particular one. He doesn't always follow through with that third attack. It's usually 2. And you can almost do a roll, and get a fair attack out of that. Now this is what I would consider a pseudo second phase. He does that big dunk with his foot. That will send out shockwaves now with a lot of his moves. Still pretty easily avoidable, but he does get a bit more aggressive. And at this point, I was really just hard trying to get him to a second phase when you bring him down to a certain health threshold. And once you do, he does this.
That will be all.
They hold hands too.
Thou didst me good service, Siraj.
What a dig. A lot of fade to blacks. I feel like an excessive use of fade to black for one cutscene, honestly. And that good old frame rate.
I've given thee courtesy enough.
Wee big boy now. Have you ever heard of anger management, my dude? Just chill, baby. Why you have to be made?
Now I fight as Hoarah Loux.
There's just something in that delivery. I feel like it missed a bit. Okay, so this phase, my god. So many delayed attacks from this guy, to the point where I was losing my mind. Even that air dunk, he just has such a delay to it that it throws you off, and every single move he does has a different delay to it. So not only do you have to try to evade at the right time for every attack, it's constantly trying to throw you up, and he very much has input reading. If you are in a state of vulnerability, he will take advantage of it. You have to be very deliberate with your attacks, and I still mess up 100 times in my victorious take here. That you should evade from, but I got Q buffered with my attack, and I didn't mean to get that second attack out. But right here, he does that slam again, just evade that slam, but he gets that second phase now, where more of his moves will have that area of effect, and you have to be careful. I got too greedy there. I so thought I was dead there, man. I was like, no, God, no, please, no, God, no. But my ancestors were smiling on me that day. Like I said, that was roughly my 50th attempt, and I was not a happy camper. Loved the first phase. That second phase was just, it was infuriating because of the delays and because of the punishing of input reading. Just frustrating. Not that bad if you can keep yourself calm. Really, you can get through it. This fight, however, can suck the fattest, brownest butthole. This, like I said previously, this is technically the last boss I'm coming up to here. Roughly 150 attempts. I have never, in all of my Souls games, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, have never needed that long on any boss I've ever faced. Closest was Midir, Gale, and Orphan of Cause. Those were by far the 3 closest, but nothing like this. I don't even think it should have taken me that long, but whatever. That's just how it goes sometimes. But here, we'll give this a watch first. Oh, and by the way, I mentioned I did this fight without any armor, and that is true. I got so annoyed with myself, I just threw off all my armor and focused on the fight. I wanted to learn it. The first thing you saw me walking in on was that was when I captured the footage of this intro, and so I wanted to keep that in. Now, the first bit I'm going to show you is, well, we'll just wait. I did love the music to this fight, though, and the overall theme. The Elden Ring! So yeah, this is my first attempt, and how hard he smacked me the first time. He also utilizes, yet again, severe delayed attacks. I will say his first phase, some parts of it are actually pretty fun, and you do learn a rhythm, but it's the end of his first phase. He starts getting a little chaotic, and it's very hard to determine what he's going to do at that point, and he gets a new set of attacks, so it's by far best to learn this section I'm showing you here, and I'll show you what I did to do a, quote, perfect run of his first phase when I was completely unarmored. Wasn't technically the one that was my victorious. We'll just pretend it was. But yeah, once I learned this section, it took me a while to learn it, but it wasn't that bad. So here is when he gets to that last section where he gets a lot more attacks. Massive AoE, very unpredictable. It's very difficult. I was losing my mind on the... I don't get mad, like legit mad in games very often. I was talking to my friends, I was pissed. But, so this is my perfect run. He does get staggered. You can break his poise. You can get a crit out of it. I just lost my mind. All armor gone, jump attacks almost exclusively. But yeah, you can see the rhythm I learned here. Just watch very carefully the times I'm evading for his attacks. And the directions he goes. All of his swings are leading to something else. This attack here, though, 1, a quicker 2, and then there is a third. This technique I don't feel like you need to use, but me running around him to then roll through him for that third one was very important for me. But all of that setup led to being able to take him down before he got too wicked crazy. Again, this is technically my victorious run here. I did get hit a couple times. I had to heal before the actual second phase, which is just having to do all of that and then yeah, very classy. Anyway, we'll watch this first. The music changes and the whole vibe that changes here, I do really like, though. Mine. Go to hell. So yes, now we are faced with the Cosmic Blob, otherwise known as the Elden Beast. The entire second phase of the last boss. Very cool vibe, creates quite a unique setting, and I thoroughly enjoy the visual and musical aspect, and even some of his attacks. I think it's pretty cool, but it's cheap as hell. So you'll see what I mean in just a second. The cutscene was from an earlier attempt, don't mind the armor there, I'm clearly unarmored. So I found being very aggressive early was very important. He almost always started with this attack, which was the fire, but it extends more than it actually hits you. You can sneak by that far. So I got as many attacks as I could before this happens. Constantly teleports around the map, very annoying, but when he flies up like this, you kind of have no choice but to just wait for this attack to happen. And what you do is you jump over, you can probably roll through, jump over was fine with me, but if you don't get out in time, boom, and you might be dead. It hits very hard. But then he traverses the map again and you gotta, it's a freaking running simulator, this fight. And this move, just kind of sidestep it. If you don't, it hits very hard. Just keep running him down. When he actually attacks, that's your best bet to actually get in. He attacks very slowly, pretty easy to determine when to roll here, especially if you've played the game up to this point. They can get you though, you do have to be careful. But he just constantly traverses. When he goes up like that, you can clearly see he just rains down piss on you. You gotta avoid it to the best of your ability. You can get out of it. These slashes, gets a good 10 show time, just roll through them, very simple. Once you get the rhythm, that'll probably kill you the first time it happens. And then this one, you kind of just have to be out of the way. I mean, really, rolling through it was my best option there. And then I just jump attack away Unga Bunga style. So when he does that, his hand on his sword like that, he lets loose what you're about to see here. All of these little attacks. They do not hit very hard and they don't really stagger you out of anything. You just have to watch your health. Don't let them get you into a state where you're going to be killed by something else. And when he was ascending, I thought he was doing the ring attack again. I didn't even realize he was doing the multi-missile. And running simulator engaged. Another melee attack, just roll on through that baby. Yeah, I feel like I should have rolled out of that one, but that's fine. Panic didn't quite set in at that moment, but I was worried. So then, when he does it again, at this later phase, there will be 3 rings and a wider area for you to get through. So make sure you have the stamina to jump 3 times while maintaining your sprint, or else you might get chunked. Then again, you gotta run the bastard down. I don't know why he meleeed there. Oh, and you can see my frame rate started going there. Oh, I would have, you don't even know how mad I would have been if I actually died there due to the frame rate lag. Oh, baby. I just tried to hug him in here hard and Unga Bunga him down. I got him so close. Got that last hit, even if it just hit with both weapons there, I probably would have had it. But, alas, I was able to succeed. On, again, my 150th attempt. Ah, yes. Sweet victory. God slain. I slew God. In my tighty whities. Once you kill him, you're offered a couple signs depending on what quests you've done. Clearly I'm going with Ranni, so I summoned Ranni here at the end. I'm guessing this is where, regardless of what quests you've done up to that point, you can choose your ending.
The battle is over, I see.
Yeah, now you show up. Caress that face, baby. Do it. Just don't hold hands. Stroke it. How glorious would it be if that face just started talking right now? Hello.
I do solemnly swear to every living being and every living soul. Now cometh the age of the stars.
Hell yeah.
1,000-year voyage under the wisdom of the moon. Here beginneth the chill night that encompasses all, reaching the great beyond.
Man, praise the moon. Forget praising the sun.
Into fear, doubt, and loneliness.
Yeah, I feel that.
As the path stretcheth into darkness.
What a Chad. Look at that guy. What a Chad. Beautiful man. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, hi. You gonna kill me?
Well then, shall we?
We holding hands again? I've had a bad experience lately.
My fair consort eternal.
Oh. So there you have it. Technically the end of the game. Yay, I did it. So yeah, level 132, 76 hours playtime, and I beat the game. I decided to unblind myself a bit at this point, and I wanted to go back and specifically kill all of the demigods that I had missed. And this was the first one I decided to go for, which is Rykard. You go through quite an interesting area and an interesting quest line of assassinating people throughout a chain quest, getting many rewards, which is where I got this new armor that I fell in love with. But also you hear tell of a spear that is a great way to kill Rykard. Not required, you see me using it here. It deals a lot of damage, it covers a lot of range. I don't technically feel like I cheesed the fight with that, because one of the attempts I did just use my normal weapons, and this fight only took me, I think, 4 attempts. And I got him actually very close with my normal weapon, but I just thematically wanted to do it with this spear. And man, if this spear maintained this moveset, which it'd be insanely cheap if it did, it does not. It only does this extra little whirlwind attack with it on the Rykard fight. First phase, no matter how you manage it, as long as you're willing to stand in that fire, or I'm sure with someone who is ranged would be able to just snipe him down, first phase is very easy. Just avoid the big head on the snake. But of course, it is a demigod. This guy. I do love the overall color scheme of this fight, though. The fire really adds a touch to it.
Very well.
Oh yeah, fist that snake's mouth, baby. We going Orochimaru here? Yeah, we're going Orochimaru here.
Join myself and King as remedy.
Freaking tendrils.
Together we will devour the very core.
Don't like his voice. I feel like I get what they're going for, but I feel like they could have done more. As you would assume, he is far more aggressive in this second phase, but the spear does still stagger. And I think that's the big aid the spear gives in this fight, actually, is the stagger, more than anything. But he does wide arc sweeping melees, fairly easy to evade as long as you're actually paying attention. There are a few times I get hit by it, I think, and I'm just unga-bunging, going really hard with the weapon. Simple evasion. You can see the arc. Now, oh yeah, it was this one right here, I believe. He does a drag. I feel like jumping might actually be better for that one. I'm not sure. Or just delaying your roll a bit, because he does a hit and then drags. It's the drag you gotta watch out for on that one. I didn't really pay attention to the overall vibe of this fight when I was actually doing it. I actually really like it visually. It's very cool. Yeah, I accepted the getting hit with the fire and just going straight in. Like I said, kind of cheesy using the spear in lieu of a fight similar in Dark Souls 3. I just couldn't pass up using it. Praise be to Onion Boy. His voice. It fits, but I don't know. I don't think it would ever actually grow on me, but I do kind of like it in a weird way. So yeah, that was Rykard. In order to get to the next demigod, I had to fight this guy. He was a prick. He took me about 20-25 attempts. I actually switched up my weapons for this one because the first times I did it, I took down the knights first. And I feel like that actually is the smart move to do here, because dealing with 3 people, terrible. He always starts with these 2 knights. And his moveset is just very annoying to deal with, just almost map-wide AoEs. You have to get very far away to not get hit by them, especially when he powers up. But the reason I use different weapons is he had a very large health pool. And what I wanted to try to do, I'm using 2 daggers. One dagger implicitly applies rot, and the second one does a bleed, and I can also apply a grease to the bleed dagger. So I applied poison. Basically, my goal was the whole first bit, I'm just dotting him up, because once you get him to a certain health threshold, his ads are they just disappear anyway once he gets to this lightning phase. And he does just get that move in particular. He gets, it's kind of annoying. It doesn't quite hit like you would think. I think the best thing to do would actually not target him, actually delock and roll to the side and almost pseudo behind him. But his basic attacks aren't that bad. It's these right here. You try to get in and he just goes ham with these AoEs. It's the thrusts when you have an opportunity to get in there. And a lot of his white, like those, all avoidable. I just got hit because I'm an idiot. But this attack is quite annoying. Yeah, so that first bit I just kind of tried to rely on the dots just to see how it would manage. And then I just kind of went in. I got very lucky. I'll be honest, I don't feel like I should have beaten him on this attempt. But yeah, I don't have a lot to say about that one. I just kind of forced my way through that one, I guess. I didn't really have the patience for it. I don't know why. Rykard was so easy and I went straight to this guy. But yeah. Then you go through a whole bit in this unique area and you're met with this guy. And again, all I really did to unblind myself is figure out how to get to these demigods. But I did see a few things about people's opinions on the fights. And I heard a lot of people saying that this guy was a nightmare. And I briefly went over this in my overview. I don't know if it's just because I was power stancing the weapons I specifically was or not. He wasn't an issue for me. I one-shot him here. I did get the vibe he was actually weak to bleeding, which kind of surprised me because the whole theme of this area is blood. I thought he would actually be strong to it, but I'm pretty sure he's very weak to it. So I think I might have just kind of like a Radahn situation. Because I went so hard in on him, I kind of got opportune staggers and bleed proc moments. But yeah. You know that's gotta smell good.
Dearest Nicola, you must abide alone a while.
Yo, I think he's doing some weird things to that corpse's boys.
Welcome, honored guest, to the birthplace of our dynasty.
So yeah, I kind of just went in here with the Unga Bunga mindset. I got the vibe of a few of his moves though. Very mix of spellcast and attacking with that torch. Do not stand in bad. Don't get hit by wide swings. I really feel like right there, that chunk was so hard. Yeah, so that delayed with his swipe, a delayed explosion, ideally you should have rolled out of that. So that's when I started sidestepping a bit more. Got a stagger there. Don't know what he was about to do. I didn't even really have to learn his moveset. I think I get another bleed proc here and he's just donezo. I don't know, he made me blood. Yeah, that's right. I almost died here. I got very lucky. I just started chugging there. And he clearly did heal. You could see that. So I wonder if when he procs Bloodlust, or Maybe it's either that move or when he makes you bleed, he heals. But he got me very close here, actually. I kind of forgot he even got me that close. He just kind of goes in hard. But you just go in hard as well. Now, I was very surprised by that. You'll see me looking around here and still healing. I'm like, okay, what's phase 2? What's going to happen? It's a demigod. Everyone else is at a phase 2. What's going on? But no, that was it. And I don't know everyone else's experience with that. Why it took them so many attempts. I could have just gotten lucky. Not sure. Haven't looked anything up yet. But yeah. This, however, this one is up there with Godfrey and the Elden Beast last boss fight. And you can kind of see why a lot of people talk about this fight and this character. Her first phase is okay. Mostly, you can kind of learn a dance to her fight. But yeah, she took me about 50 attempts as well, about on the same par as Godfrey for me. The reason I find her to be of a more annoying fight, she just has a few moves in particular that are cheap. And we'll go over those when they happen. Oh, the camel shaky. That means wind.
I dreamt for so long. My flesh was dull gold, and my blood rotted.
Cool.
Corpse after corpse left in my wake. As I awaited his return. Heed my words.
What's up?
I am Malenia, Blade of Mikola.
You hear that line a lot through the fight. That's why I laugh.
And I have never known defeat.
Yeah, well, you're about to. A lot of her basic attacks really aren't that bad, actually, and she can be staggered, and she seems weak to bleed. Right there, you heard that click, and you see a spark. Normally, when you hear that click, you actually want to evade. That's a warning sign for you to get out of the way of what she's about to do. Click, get out. But a lot of swings you can really avoid quite easily, actually, once you get the rhythm down. And right there, that's what you got to watch out for. When she suspends herself, she goes into this quad attack of just mad AoE. Nearly impossible to avoid. The only times I did avoid are when I ran hard away when she went up, and then on her last hit, roll in. Now right there you saw her dive at me. That is a grab. If you don't get out of the way at that last second, she will grab you and probably one-shot you. Something else about this fight, you'll notice she actually heals every time she hits you. So whenever anything hits you, she heals. Evade everything, which is hard, but you don't want her to heal in this phase. You really don't. Again, I kind of got into a rhythm of trying to find these moments where I could stagger her and bleed her as fast as possible to get this phase to happen. Because her second phase, her health really isn't that high, but she deals a lot of damage. So as long as you're not getting hit, you will take her down very fast. In both of her phases, really. But there's a few specific things to note for the second phase. But we'll get to that.
Wait.
Belly slap. She's the 100-tailed fox. I've seen you in Naruto.
The
Naruto.
scarlet bloom flowers once more.
She pulls off a gross but also sexy vibe. I dig it.
You will witness true horror.
Very pretty cinematography, but in a different way than a lot of the rest of the game. Oh.
Now, rot.
So the very first thing you need to be aware of, she coming down and she coming down hard. I show this first one because that's how quick it kills you. That was the first time I ran into that second phase and just boom boom. Oh, that is not a good feeling. That is not a pleasant feeling. But this is my actual victorious run. So again, slap her first phase down. I just skip it this time. You just want to run, get out of that first hit, then roll, get out of there. You'll see me here pop that item. I also bleed my weapon. She applies rot to you very quickly. Use the item that takes away rot and increases your resistance to rot. Very helpful in this fight, to not have to worry about a damage over time effect taking down your health while you're worrying about everything else. So she gets a little bit more delay to a lot of her attacks, but she's still staggerable. You can still break her poise, as you just saw. I felt like in this phase, you be even more careful and further your distance from her a lot more. So like right here, I saw her ascend. I was just out of there, man. Gone. Booking it. I wasn't about to try to evade everything. And that really made it look simpler than it was, honestly, watching it again. Again, roughly 50 attempts. Getting to that phase is difficult. That phase itself is difficult. Your adrenaline's pumping. Calm yourself down. Get your distance. Get her down. And listen for those clicks. Those clicks will tell you when to roll for some of those attacks. And when you see her ascend, get out.
I'm sorry. I finally met my match.
That's right. And there you have it. I didn't technically clear everything the game has to offer. Wasn't a 100%. Love the game, though. I said I'd give my negatives at the end. Well, let's quickly go over my critiques then, shall we? First, while I personally love open world games, and I believe they did a truly great job of making the world worth exploring, I also believe a lot of the dungeons you come across are far too simple and their bosses far too easy to take down. I can see a counterpoint being made that they're just not meant to be as difficult as harder bosses, and that's the point. But some of them really just felt so easy they might as well have been regular mobs. Second, there was clearly optimization problems with the game, at least on PC where I played. Oftentimes there were frame rate drops for seemingly no reason, and they can pop up at the most inopportune times, as you may have noticed in some of my boss encounters. This is a simple complaint though, as hopefully it will be fully fixed in future patches. Third, I feel like this was a good opportunity for FromSoft to expand upon the Dark Souls playstyle and incorporate more from their other games, like Bloodborne's healing animation being quicker, as I feel Flasks have a rather slow animation, or Sekiro's idea of completely removing the idea of a stamina bar, overall allowing for more fast action gameplay. Also on that note, I know a lot of people might disagree with me here, but in the same light, removing the clunky Q system from Dark Souls carrying over into Elden Ring. Just because I pressed R1 twice does not mean I want it to come out 30 seconds later when I would have rather directly reacted to a new attack the boss was doing and rolling out of the way instead of forcing me to attack because I pressed the button before my first attack even finished its animation. I was really hoping Elden Ring would take the best of all of the products and make one wholly fluid combat system. Still, I love it, but I think it could have been better. My fourth and final complaint is the overall boss design. The game looks amazing, and a lot of the bosses have a very special flair to them. But a lot of the others are just kind of visually bland or simply rehashed designs of things we've seen 100 times before. Like, how many dragons that look the same do we really need? And not only that, they relied on the delayed attack mechanic far too often. For a game of this scope, it's impossible to be fully original, and of course assets are going to be reused. but I feel like the kind of creativity FromSoft works with, they could have expanded on the uniqueness of many mobs and bosses in the game, both from a visual and mechanical standpoint. Still, all of my complaints and critiques included, this game is amazing. It deserves the love it's getting, and I hope more of you out there give it a try and stick with it. Set your goals, learn from your mistakes, and make the world your bitch. Now, excuse me while I either start a new character or go into new game and finish my man Dung Eater's questline. Have a hell of a time out there, ye tarnished. I'm sorry, baby.